record this to the cloud. And indeed, it is being recorded to the cloud. Here we're in Woodburn 203, in the heart of campus, in the IU campus, about 20 steps away from the Mermaid. So if you believe in mermaids, you'll believe in this class, that we will have a good class. If you don't believe in mermaids, you can go home right now, because we're going to be mermaid intensified. Because during break time, I'm taking my computer out and I'm going to show you the mermaid. If you believe that, I got something I can sell you after the show. So we will have a bunch of technologies to show today. In fact, I counted 10, but there's more than 10. And so we actually have to get started fairly quickly because we're going to cover Screenomatic, Canvas ePortfolio, Hypothesis, Canva, ThingLink, Miro, Notion, Trello, Kumo Space, Minddomo, with a little side twist over into Padlet and Jamboard, and maybe some MindMeister and some Glyphy and some CMAP and some other things on top of that. So this is a class at the 600 level. At the 600 level, we have to deal in the high-level theory. But when you offer a course on emerging learning technologies and only talk about high-level theory and never get your hands a little bit wet in the actual technologies that are out there, you might be doing not be doing the appropriate thing for the course that you're teaching. Let's just put it that way. So we have Kim's with us. Great to have you with us, Kim. And we've got an order that's been set up ahead of time because Yoon's going to have to leave fairly soon after she presents. She defended her dissertation a few months back, maybe a year ago almost. Last May? When was it? Last what? September. So it's been a while. I remember it, but the rest of them were not in attendance. And at the end of it, her dissertation defense, I asked if she could present on some of these writing tools and screen capturing tools because she had to study them in order to collect her data. Merve also defended last year, a couple months before Yoon did. And so I asked Merve to come back. So we have two people who got their PhDs from Indiana University in the past year who are going to start us off tonight. And then we have a hopeful person. She wants to get a PhD someday. She's going to present. And Belle's kind of a hopeful person, and Christian's a hopeful person as well. So we have 2 completed and 3 hopefuls. How's that? And so, Yoon, would you like to see if your audio works and your screen sharing works and take over from here on? I'm going to mute my microphone for a while.
Okay, so let me first screen share my slides to see if it works.
I muted the wrong thing.
Okay, can everybody see my slides?
We can.
And you can definitely hear my voice, right?
I can. Tuli, can you see? Tuli doesn't have it on his screen. Merve, can you see them, the slides?
I can see it.
As a full, okay. As a full screen, right? As a full screen, okay.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, thank you, Dr. Bonk. Thank you, Kurt, for inviting me to join your class today. And hello, everyone. My name is Yoongyung Che. Hello. As Kurt mentioned, I defended my PhD last September, like last year, in Literacy, Culture, and Language Education program at IU. And I was very honored to have Dr. Bonk as one of my research committee members. And today, I'm going to share some instructional tools in the context of specifically writing class from part of my doctoral dissertation and also from my actual teaching experience at college writing courses. So briefly speaking about my background as a writing instructor at college level, I first started to teach first year academic writing in the English department at IU in 2018 while I was a doctoral student at IU. And since I moved to the city of Irvine in California in 2019, so I keep my teaching career at colleges around here, like UC Irvine or Cal State LA in Cal State in LA. So I'm gonna share many of my experiences and also my research, my PhD research.
Even before you do that, I will also say that she was an occasional visitor in the Saturday class, the infamous Saturday class. Yoon was set to my right, actually, and learned one or two things in that class. That class has now has a new book that came out last month. But many of you have taken the infamous Saturday class, and Yoon was finished with the coursework, but she still sat in to learn in that particular class. Anyone's welcome in that class whenever I teach it again someday. So I'm sorry, Yoon. You can go take it back over.
Okay. So these are the three tools I'm going to talk about today. So Screencast-O-Matic is a screencast software I have studied for my PhD dissertation, and I might mainly talk about this today, which is a teacher's multimodal feedback on students' writing. And Canvas Eportfolio, an online portfolio, like as digital writing, and Hypothesis, which is a third tool, a collaborative annotating tool. So I'm gonna also briefly, talk about my experience and also sharing my actual examples about these the last two tools. Okay. So my dissertation is titled Composition Teachers' Pedagogical Beliefs, Case Studies of Teachers' Commentary on Multilingual Students' Writing. So as you can see in the title, so the main part of my study was to examine writing teachers' pedagogical beliefs and their actual teaching practices when providing their feedback on students' paper. So, but I don't think it's not just in writing class, because if you are teaching any course, you always need to provide your feedback, right, to students' paper, or I mean, in whatever ways, right? So the first two research questions, as you can see here, these are actually about teachers' pedagogical beliefs and how these beliefs are transferred into their actual teaching practices. So I investigate all those transferring process, and I was just wondering how they were changed and whether they have been changed or not, and if they have changed, why, something like that. So those are about the first two questions. And in the last research question, I also had, in my study, I had three research variables, like writing teachers' first language, whether English is their first language or not, and level of concerns in revision. And the last research variable, actually modality of response medium, which means monomodal versus multimodal comments. This is kind of the very close concept that I'm gonna share today. So like a monomodal comments, like a text-based comments in Microsoft Word versus like an audio visual or like a multimodal comments as by using screencast comments. So I compared these two different modes of teachers' feedback. And in terms of modality of commentary, as you can see here, so different from the first two modes here, like a text only or audio only modes. So multimodal feedback, actually this is a combination of multiple modes, like text of students, text of teachers, written feedback, right? And teachers' actual voice, and also the video of students' paper on the screen, right? By screen sharing students' paper, or even teachers can also include themselves part of a video as with like a speaker view, right? As optional, right? So you can imagine that like to create or make these multimodal screencast feedback. So you can just recording their feedback, recording your feedback by screen sharing the student's paper on the screen, right? And then you can start your recording, and pre-written comments, or even teachers can actually annotate and adds additional feedback while they are doing the recording. So all these are like a possible options depending on individual teachers' decisions. So one of the significance in my study was that investing this kind of multimodality in teachers' comments would maybe contribute to the writing studies when considering the current and future future writing instructions such as digital literacy and multimodal composing and how to read multimodal text, which is very significant these days, and the context of like online or blended writing courses. So in terms of my methodology for this study, so I chose to use a multiple case study approach to collect stories of 4 college writing instructors who teach at a research university in the US, which is IU, recruiting 2 groups of teachers whose first language is English or other than English, right? And data sources were collected from performance observations from their actual commenting performances on 4 student essays. So these essays are usually like a 5 to 6 length paper essay, and then semi-structured interview with integration of a simulated recall protocol. And from here, the next 3 slides were actually my answer and my findings about the first 2 questions about teachers' beliefs, writing teachers' beliefs, and their transfer to actual teaching practices. And these are illustrations of my findings. So I'm not gonna, present these in depth, which are not the focus of today's talk, but I just included this slide just because I think these findings are also very applicable to any, like all instructional content. So for instance, if you look at this figure, so these are my teacher participants' internal and external factors in their instructional context, which is providing feedback to student, right? So each of these factors, which are these can be also applicable to any instruction system, because I borrowed this theoretical framework from Bill and Beck's model, which is titled Relationship Between Teachers' Belief and Practices in an Instructional System. So and also to answer the second research question, this representation shows a transfer process from teachers' belief and their actual practices as their decision-making process based on Five and Bill's framework. And lastly, so these are my 5 assertions as like a synthesized finding in the context of L2 writing instruction. But as I mentioned, I think these are also applicable in any instruction context. For instance, like if you read my assertion 4, so teachers' internal factors such as their educational background or their teaching approach, because we know that every teacher has different approach or preference, right? And then self-efficacy, their belief about self-efficacy and test value are changed through their efforts for continued professional development. And that's why, we keep doing professional development as educator. And my assertion 5, so teachers' external factors, including class context, institutional context, or instructional resources that I am sharing right now, and also time or workload. All these external factors affect the effectiveness of teachers' pedagogical choices, either as support or hindrances. So yes, so if you want to read more about my rest part of my dissertation study, I'm happy to share my PDF file for free. So please just ask me. And more findings about other 2 research variables, which is writing teachers' first language and different level of revision concerns. But this session is what I'm going to focus on today. So in terms of different modality for making comments from teacher participant, so because most all my teacher participants, it was their first time to use this type of screencast comment because they were, I mean, I collected the data back in 2019 and it was way before the pandemic. So at that time, it was not very common for educator to use, I mean, Zoom. I mean, now we know that it's very basic now, right? But back in then, I mean, not many people were familiar with how to screen sharing or something like that, right? So, but at that time, please imagine how it was back in, I mean, 2019. So since most all my teacher participants, it was their first time to use this kind of screencast feedback. So from my data collection and interpretation, I found these three features. So I'm gonna share more examples and more details about each of these three features from the next slide. So first, I first want to briefly show some of the actual examples of my teacher participants commenting strategy, right, as their effective and time efficient method, right? So in the written comments, so they perceive this as a conventional way, and I think we are still thinking that way, right? So kind of very conventional or traditional way. And teachers use comments, use comment boxes, right, to insert their comments in Microsoft Word and to point out some sentence level errors such as grammar or formatting style or word choice, those sentence level, or we call also local level issues in writing. So some teachers chose to use only just highlighting with their color coding system, or other teacher, she actually used just bold facing without any written comments. So she tried to leave this task to student. Okay, so you do this part, okay, by double check the bold faces part and you try to find out what the issues or something like that. Okay, so these are some kind of interesting patterns from writing comment. And also I found that all my 4 teacher participants, they included this kind of final summary of their comments about one paper at the end of student essay. So to point out, so clearly let them know that, so what issues did the student do well, or what issues really should be resolved first, right? To give like a more clear guidance for their next revision step. And this is the final wall. So as you can see here also, one teacher included like an active accessible link, like the direct link. So hoping that students click this link and please double check for like additional assistant material, right? So for instance, Purdue OWL, Purdue webpage, right? The guide and or some instructional video clips, or University Writing Center. Yes. So these are interesting patterns that I found from written comments. Meanwhile, in screencast video comments, so as you can see here, oh, by the way, this is what I did last week. So yeah, I just took a screenshot to share with you. So, but although all of my teacher participants, they did not choose to show themselves in the video with speaker view, while I was collecting the data. So, but this screen is usually what students are expected to see as teachers screencast video comments, right? So like recording teachers' actual voice by screen sharing the student's paper on the screen, right? So, and as I mentioned earlier, teachers' pre-written comments, these are still optional because we know that there's also annotating tool on Zoom, right? So we can actually do the annotation while we are talking, right? So, but I chose to prepare these pre-written comments before I start recording. But some teachers, didn't do this way, and actually, yeah, she did the annotating while she was talking, while she was recording her actual feedback. So that was a pretty different feature that we couldn't find from written comments. And one, other feature in screen comments was actually which was distinctive from written comments, was a demonstrating feature as a video, right? Because written comments we cannot use, there's no features, right, in written comments, written modes. So for instance, as you can see here, this teacher screen share the Purdue OWL web page during the recording directly on the screen to show the student as a additional research page directly on the screen. So which is very different from what you have seen here. So here in the written comments, just put the link, right? But instead in screencast feedback, just teacher do herself or himself, but to show the link on the screen, the page on the screen. And this teacher also screen share the writing assignment prompt, like a writing assignment guide directly on the screen, as well as demonstration, rather than just referring to, okay, please check our writing assignment prompt or not, rather than just referring simply. So screen share the assignment prompt on the screen and to provide more clear guidance for students' next revision. Okay, so from my findings about different modality for comments, so this is a first feature that I found. So I could find different merits, but also at the same time limitation of two modalities for commenting. So teachers preferred written comments when pointing out simple errors or local level issues, like a very simple grammar check, or so they prefer written comments in that case. But as I mentioned, they also found very interesting feature, like using demonstration in Screencast. So my teacher participants told me that maybe if they need to demonstrate something, maybe that will be more effective than just typing or writing all those down. So maybe in that case, screencast comments will be more helpful and effective for student, right? Or if they need more, like a more oral explanation or more detailed explanation, right? And I also found a different sequence of comments, like a linear sequence with error by error pattern in written comments, while a sequence of priority with point by point pattern in screencast comments. So for instance, so you can imagine that once you have like some kind of written comments about your paper, right? So you are guided to read comments one by one from the beginning to the end, right? So that's what we usually do, right? When we have like a written feedback, But while in the screencast, teachers actually, each teacher, they studied from the different point, depending on their priority of feedback. Okay, so some teachers, once they started their recording, one of the teachers scroll way down to the bottom and point out the most important issues that the teacher wanted the students to look at first. Yeah, so that's kind of the very different pattern. So in that way, teachers so students can follow their teacher's priority, right? Priority of like more issues based on this kind of a screencast comments and recording. And also at the same time, limitations of screencast comments. So actually there is an editing tool for teachers to edit some part of their recording after the recording is done, but none of my participants use this editing tool because, editing some part, it's not just crop, cut, and not that simple things, because some kind of editing, their actual oral feedback part. Yeah, so in that case, yeah, they didn't do that, but instead they chose just re-record once again, or some one of the teachers, she mentioned that she tried like 3 times until she satisfied the result, but which was actually some kind of unexpected time to spend more, because usually maybe they told me that at first they thought maybe just recording their feedback maybe would save their time rather than typing all those feedback, but these are kind of the unexpected time they had to spend. And another possible reason could be because in video, as in video, in screencast comments, in written feedback, teachers can, teachers, we can copy and paste like repeated phrases because we know like most pattern mistake, right, in our one writing class. So we have kind of our default written comments to copy and paste, right? But we cannot do that in video, right? So the only way is we should talk, right? 2.0, right? So that's probably one of the possible reasons about this unexpected longer time than we thought. And other interesting finding that I found from my study was teachers' personal preferences for a certain mode with various reasons. For example, some teachers, they were just reluctant to record their voice, okay, to provide or give their comments. So they just preferred written, yeah, as simple and clean, yeah. And also some teachers mentioned about, I'm not that confident at using this kind of technology tool when I provide feedback or not. So this is one of the, their feeling about their self-efficacy about like handling this new technological tool. And also, of course, one of my research variable was teachers' first language. So if their English is not their first, English is not their first language, yeah, maybe, yeah, since their native is definitely comfortable, right, than English. So those teachers, they are not bad, but still they prefer, yeah, written comments rather than recording their voice as feedback. Yes. And the second feature I found was, so writing teachers, they viewed screencasts comments as similar to individual student conference, like a face-to-face individual meeting with students to discuss their drafts. So because in screencast comments, we know that there's a instructor's actual voice, right? A voice is recorded, like in the conversational tone, because they are actually talking, right? So this can convey like it's like a personal and dialogic nature. So maybe this kind of feature can promote teachers' social presence rather than just, yeah, giving them like a written feedback, right? Yeah, on paper. And also this could convey teachers' empathy and promote a more personal connection about students' stress. So yeah, maybe this might be possible reasons why why they think maybe it could work very similar as the face-to-face conference with student. So I found that conferencing, like a face-to-face conferencing in person, so these are so that is dialogic and interactive, because we keep between teacher and student, we keep exchanging our thoughts to discuss, right? So, and mutually participatory, while screencast feedback is monologic, right? Because just people, teachers talking, and also unidirectional and one-way communication. So as Stannard mentioned in here, actually, yeah, this is one of the very first study to investigate screencast feedback in writing studies, so like 2007. So this is pretty new field. So Standard mentioned like screencast medium as a halfway house between handing back a student a written piece of work with comments on it and actually meeting the student to mark their work. So it's kind of a half between those two. So my teacher participant, they suggested that maybe appropriate combination of these two modes, considering it like a screencast feedback as a recording of our conferencing session without student input, maybe that kind of thing. So maybe that will be very helpful, and also maybe that will save our energy and time, because actually reality, I mean, when we are about to have like a conference, we call it conference week. So that is a crazy week for us. So usually we have like in one writing class, we have usually 20 to 30 students. And as a full-time instructor, we have to teach 3 to 5 writing students. So if we have to spend like 30 minutes for one student, so can you guess how many times we should spend? Right, so maybe, yeah, using this screencast effectively will be pretty helpful. And also written feedback also could be seen like judgmental. Meanwhile, screencast comments maybe can be more include more relational tone and space for greater depth. So which may soften the impact of teachers like a criticism or some kind of negative comments, right? So because, yeah, we know that when we talk about some feedback as your comments, we do not directly go with the negative one, right? So we first say hello and hey, student who and how are you? And then, okay, so you did a good, you did very well in terms of this part, but I'm gonna talk about this part for your revision, right? So we at least include some kind of positive aspect, but in written comment, some teachers did. Meanwhile, I mean, other teachers, they did not include any positive comment because that's just feedback for their revision, right? So yes, and finally, for online writing courses, since we know that face-to-face interactions are even not possible, right? Because that is an online course. So using this screencast feedback would increase social presence, teacher social presence, and provide more personal responses and build a sense of community in online context. Okay, and the last feature from my finding was actually preparation steps are needed both by teachers and by students for comments to be useful, regardless of the modes. So conventional written comments. So writing according to Summers here. So writing instruction, we spend at least like 20 to 40 minutes to provide our written comments, like for one student paper. And actually, yeah, so the same to me. So usually, yeah, so these kind of a time to prepare for written comments, but also for screencast video comment as well, since we should record a actual video, right? So we first need to prepare what we are going to talk about, even briefly, right? So we do not just start our recording without any preparation, right? So, and also, I also found that teachers perceive their roles, I mean, when using the screencast comments, so their role as readers, who is a teacher, and also evaluator, but also performer, right? Because we should record a video and create a video, right, as a product. So performance anxiety is another issue when teachers actually need to record their comments as screencast comments, right? So my teacher participants mentioned that maybe balancing among these multiple modes effectively, like balance among the text, audio, and visual aspect. Yeah, we need to balance among these multiple aspects. And they also point out, finally, they also point out some significance of students' preparation as well, because if student is not ready to accept and understand and use teacher's feedback, there will be waste of time, right? So even though we prepare so much and we took too much time to prepare, I mean, either mode of feedback. So that's all my teacher participants actually pointed out about the significance of students' responsibility. And the multimodality in relation to writing teachers commenting decisions. So so my kind of application, pedagogical application, and maybe future direction would be, so we should like more research-based evidence should be followed up as like a follow-up study to investigate like all the potential of screencasts, not as a competing tool, like which one is better than the other, but we should keep investigating how we can deal with these two options more effectively and more time efficiently. So that's kind of my finding. And also for the further research, yes, that's what I meant. And also, I think maybe we should also investigate students' perspective as well. So when they have two different modes as their feedback, like a written feedback and screencast feedback, so maybe we need to also explore and examine the effectiveness from students' perspective. So these are other screencasting tools you can check, but you know what, as you can imagine, so as long as teacher can record a video and know how to screen share a document, I mean, the tools or the software really doesn't matter. So I did not use Screencast-O-Matic, but I just used the Zoom to create my screencast comment. So, I mean, these are actually screencasting tool, but any video platform with screen sharing function, that will make that will be possible for any teachers to create this kind of screencast feedback. Okay. And now this is my second tool. I'm going to briefly introduce and share my examples. Since I'm a writing, so my specialty is teaching writing to college students actually, or academic writing. So writing portfolio is very often used in college writing normally at the end of the semester to allow them to look back on what they have done throughout the semester in this writing class as a writer, and then make them to plan like their new learning goals in the future. So that's why we use this kind of portfolio based project. And Canvas ePortfolio allows students to very easily publish their best work online and create their own online publishing space. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Canvas ePortfolio or not, but I found that more people than I expected do not know that ePortfolio is actually a default Canvas tool. So is there anyone who know like the Canvas ePortfolio is already in your account or not? Oh, you know, okay, yeah, two, okay, right? So see, so actually, yeah, I kind of a little bit surprised, but yeah, that's so to find your own Canvas ePortfolio page, simply you can go to so once you sign in with your IU Canvas, so click your account or like a profile. And then there's an ePortfolio link. That's your ePortfolio page. So yeah, you can use your portfolio page, for your own publication or to organize your work. Yeah, so it's up to users' decision about how to use that. But I chose to use this Canvas ePortfolio page as part of my writing class. Yes. So, and here are the rubrics that I used for students' ePortfolio unit. So for the contents, of course, they first need to introduce themselves as a writer of that ePortfolio page, right? And then they also should include their final research project to introduce and share what they.
We've kind of almost run out of time. We need to go on to the next person.
Okay.
But could you do, you have hypothesis too. Could you do both of these latter two in the next 5 minutes so we can see both of them?
Okay, so this is just a example. You can just visit by copy and paste. Yeah, so this is my one of my former students at UC Irvine to produce his final ePortfolio. Yes. So yeah, ePortfolio is, I thought this will be helpful for students digital literacy and multimodal writing and reading. And finally, hypothesis. Actually, this is a very short one, and I got to know this tool actually last month when I spent our college-wide professional development day, and I found this very helpful for my writing because this is a collaborative annotating tool, as you can see here. So students, they can annotate together with a shared document. And by the way, this is also a integrated tool in Canvas. So you can use as part of your instructional tool in Canvas. So students can they can annotate together and replay to other students' annotation as well. And then actually after all the annotation, they can actually search a specific word by text. So yes, that's what I'm gonna use actually next class in my writing class, because we have like an in-class writing midterm next week. So each student group will use this hypothesis tool to annotate together to analyze the given text for their exam. So that's my plan. Yeah, so maybe I thought maybe it was helpful and interesting to know this tool, as one of the annotating tools. Yes, and yes, this is it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And good questions from the audience.
Any questions or comments?
We didn't create a Jamboard for this, unfortunately. I don't think we have a
question.
Jamboard, do we? Yeah, go ahead, Kim.
This is Charity.
It's Charity.
I had a question for you about the teacher's efficacy, some of their confidence with it. Do you think that maybe on the front end, if you would recommend for people wanting to use this, that they would just give a little bit more hands-on training to the teachers beforehand, or did you see some other identifier that maybe could increase the teacher's efficacy before they really get into it, make it more worthwhile to them?
Yeah. So as part of my procedure, so all teacher participants, actually, I gave them like a kind of tutorial session, very simply, like about how to use this Screencast tool. So, and I also create my own kind of a instruction page for them to save as a copy. And when they need to actually, start their recording, they can follow the restriction. But still, I mean, we know that everyone has like a different preference about using technology in our education in our class, right? So, I mean, so for instance, I thought that one of my Native American teacher, I thought, at least since, English is their first language, so I thought that maybe just recording their own voice rather than typing all those comments maybe would be more effective for them. But one of them actually, she was not that confident at using this kind of technology, and she kind of do not actually like it. She just preferred like a more typical way, or those things. So even though, despite all those training session and all the additional things, so her impression was about that. So maybe, we know that we cannot force them to use this technology, but at least I think maybe we should provide, okay, here's some available options you can do. So, and let them know that here are some benefits you can get, and well, here are some limitations. Yeah, that's kind of one of my findings, right? Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions?
If nobody else has a question, I have a couple. First, did you find that the method chosen by instructors using Screencast was determined by the number of assignments they were giving or their student course load?
Are you talking about the student essay that I chose?
The Screencast.
I mean, choosing that software. Okay. The reason to choose that software, right? Okay. So
or the method that they chose. So maybe they chose just to give written comments, or maybe they chose to annotate as they were talking or recording. Was there a did you see maybe a link between how many students they had or the number of assignments that they had for why they chose to do written and not doing a video feedback?
Oh, okay. So first of all, as part of my methodology, so I had 4 student essay, and essay 1 and 2, teacher had to provide their written comments. I asked them to do that. And for the essay 3 and 4, I asked them to provide screencast comments. So, I mean, there's no like a option to choose. Okay, for essay 1, no, choose, so maybe because I didn't talk about the methodology, so that's the one thing, right? And then another research variable that I didn't share today was actually students' proficiency level. So when I include students' essay, so those 4 student essay, they have like a different students' proficiency level. So that's kind of hidden variables that I designed. So from those data collection, I found that it's one of another my findings is to answer or to respond different level of students' proficiency, because we know that maybe if like a lower level students, maybe they might have more sentence level mistake, right, such as grammar or but I mean major issues such as like developing their ideas or their thesis, right, the organization of the essay. So point out these major issues, I could also identify which mode would be more effective to point out these 2 different level of revision concerns that I point out here. Actually, that is the second part of so maybe if you're interested, I hope you read my dissertation and see much more examples and details. So yes, but thank you your comments and questions. I think I'm so out of my time.
I have one more if it's okay. So I was curious, back to Screencast, was there any thought that you might look at peer feedback through this method, through the multimodal Screencast method? So maybe it's using Flipgrid, or maybe it's using the tools that you were looking at, but instead of having a professor give that feedback, maybe students are using or peers are using rubric. This would certainly help lessen the load and might make multimodal feedback more available to like MOOCs per se.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. But in my writing class, actually, peer feedback, peer review is one of the big part, in our class. So for peer review session, what I usually do is just exchanging their draft, and then teachers' feedback, I mean, when I ask students to provide your feedback about your peers, if I expect too much details from students, they feel actually overwhelmed, or they kind of do not want to, maybe because first of all, they are not sure about their feedback because they're still students. And second of all, some students feel like do not comfortable about providing some kind of constructive criticism about their peers if their names are exposed, right? So what I usually do for peer review is I share some kind of guiding question to ask, as a target audience who are reading other peers' drafts. So please just check briefly about very overall, such as, can you see the clear thesis here, right? And then organization looks fine to you as a reader and those things. But if I ask too much from students, I found that, they really do not want to do the ask. So, but I haven't thought about, using screencast or like a screencast video as for my peer review. So maybe, I can be, maybe that's one of the possible way I can think of, but thank you. So thank you about your comments. That's interesting.
Thank you, Dr. Yoon, for your presentation today. I will point out that these tools for collaborative annotations and editing and commenting and multimedia have existed for 3 decades. And there was someone, if you want to look up the history of this, there was someone named Christina Neuwirth from Carnegie Mellon University who developed a tool called Prep Editor, P-R-E-P Editor, which let people comment, and everyone's comments will go another layer to the right, so the paper got squished and squished and squished, and everyone had a column for their edits. In effect, it's different. There are more elegant tools exist today, but these things have existed for a while, and there is a trail of research that was done at Carnegie Mellon and at the University of Pittsburgh, where the Center for the Study of Writing was. Indiana had the Center for Social Studies, Wisconsin had the Center for Math, Illinois had the Center for Reading. I forget what Michigan State had, but everyone had these different centers, and Writing Center was at Carnegie Mellon. It might have been co with Berkeley, and then with Pittsburgh, they might have jointly one, but there's a lot of research coming out. And then the early formulations about the process writing movement and writing as thinking, and the kind of reprocessing model that I actually authored of writing came at that time. In my dissertation, we were looking at students' behaviors when they're getting a set of prompts given to them, creativity and critical thinking prompts. And some students are very literally taking those prompts. Some students were taking them and revising their papers large scale, whole scale, and some students were tinkering with their papers constantly. We called the tinkerers Beethovenians because Beethoven tinkered. And we called the people who just wrote their whole paper down at once, we called them Mozartians because Mozart would just write his whole plays down all at one gasp. And some of you are like that. You paste and paste and paste, and then you write your papers. Other people are like the tinkerers out there, like Beethoven, who's constantly editing until you turn the paper in. And other people are combiners. You combine both, you get things on paper and then you think and you reflect and you constantly go back and forth and revise. And that we call combiners. The University of Minnesota did research on that. A professor named Lillian Bridwell studied keystroke mapping. And so my colleague and I took that idea for our dissertation, getting keystroke mapping tools in the tool before Word. It was called WordPerfect. And we used WordPerfect. Some of you may remember WordPerfect. Katie's smiling. She might have used it as a little kid. But yeah, so some of you may have heard of that. Anyways, a lot of these tools existed for decades that enable people to collaborate, annotate, reflect, and so forth. It's nice to see a dissertation in this area. And we want to hear more about Screenomatic. I'm really interested in how exactly people might be able to use Screenomatic to enhance their teaching, enhance their pedagogy. So I'm going to check the links out that you shared. Hypothesis I looked up while you were presenting is an open access tool. So it's a free tool, right? And I'm trying to get the background for Hypothesis because one of these tools, I think Mervet, there's one of these tools that is from Harvard that's open access and free. I don't think it's Hypothesis, it's a different tool. Maybe she can look this up while she's going to present next, but after her presentation, her and I will try and look this up. But yeah, IU has embraced many tools, but there's a couple that they've not, anyhow. And so you're saying this is embedded within Canvas, so it is something we can get on the IU campus. So, so anyways, Yoon, any final last comment, Yoon?
That is it. So I'm just worried if I spend too much time for class, but thank you everyone for taking your time and listening to my research. And yeah, it was very precious time for me too, because today, starting from today, is spring break here. So I just started my inviting talk for my spring break, but it was very good for me to join this Dr. Bonk's class, and thank you everyone, and enjoy the rest of today's class. Thank you.
So the other ones will be much more applied technology tools. So I started with the theoretical and research-based ones, because this is a 600 level course. We have to think about how to use technologies within different contexts and think about the research questions that we might ask. So when Merve presents, when Shishi presents, when Bell presents, when Christian presents, they're going to talk about the technologies and the features of those technologies. And those technologies come and go.
Yeah, so you're gonna, post today's recording or all the materials after, right? Because I really want to, double check other presenters, because I'm really into, I'm so ready to learn more technology, instructional tools for, so maybe I will have to double check all the materials and today's.
This is saved. We'll make a YouTube video and you can watch this later. Anyone who doesn't get the link, just write me an email on Friday. We'll have it done by Thursday or Friday, probably even before that. So, so let's give Yoon a round of applause. It's the first time she's presented in my class, and probably the first time since she graduated coming back to Indiana.
I finished my dissertation last year, but due to like Omicron variant, so I gave up visiting IU last December. So I'm going to visit the campus again in May for my commencement.
So May, who's going to have you and Jennifer Park, and I forget, there's two more, Rob Elliott, who we'll see in a couple weeks in here. From IUPUI, there's 4 people be going through commencement, at least that are my advisees. So we will definitely we'll have a celebration that day.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to turn it over to Merve at this point. But again, give her a round of applause for a really nice job. And Merve will share with us. Then we'll take a short break after Merve. So I'll let Merve take over.
Thanks so much, Yoon, for this great presentation, and thanks, Dr. Bonk, for inviting me. And hi, everyone. My name is Merve Başdoğan. Tonight, I would like to share a little bit about why visuals are important. For example, me as a researcher, a space design scholar, or instructional designer, visuals have always very critical for my professional works, to support my message, to amplify my message, my data. So I think it was same for caveman. I mean, from prehistoric times, Stone Ages to today, which is metaverse time, we are living in a visually mediated world. So visual communication is in our life, and with technology there is a visual turn. I mean, the social media, TV, even books, newsletters, infographics, instructional videos, vlogs, a lot of technology and visual we are consuming. So for this reason, tonight I just wanted to introduce you to web-based design tools that I have used a lot in my professional, personal life, which are Canva and ThinkLink. But before, just let me introduce myself briefly. I received my PhD in last summer in IST with a minor in educational psychology. Recently, I'm working as a postdoctoral researcher in Indiana University's Learning Space Design team. This classroom on the picture is one of the active learning classroom, and my responsibility is investigating research, design, and evaluation about how active learning is happening in these kind of different classrooms in terms of student engagement, collaboration, flexibility, etc. And also sometimes providing instructional design help to the School of Public Health in terms of online course design, animation design, and course evaluation regarding quality matters, standards.
Okay.
Sure.
So I just interrupt for a second. If you were in the fall class on Saturdays, she was the TA in that class. So you recognize Merve.
Yeah.
She's got a different hairstyle now, so maybe you don't.
Short.
And Merve is also my advisee. So she got done last, maybe defended in May or June, but she got done in July last year. So she's now working, as she said, at UITS. As a postdoc, and so it's great to have her come back to this class and share with us some visualization tools, because she's really an excellent person to share with us visualization tools, because that's the way she thinks. So go ahead, Merve.
Thanks, Dr. Bonk. Today, let's go back to the importance of visual design. By the way, before starting this slide, these all elements are one week topic when I was teaching a multimedia design course for undergrad public health school students. So visuals are in our life, and it's important because it helps us summarize large amount of data into simple elements. And also there is tons of literature about the significance of visuals, right visuals, in terms of speeding up reception, perception, and also guiding the attention of your audience, facilitating your message via storytelling, triggering pleasure. I mean, even warm colors, soft colors like red triggers energy, or soft colors like blue provides trust. For that reason, a lot of big companies like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, they are using blue color as their team color to provide trust. And also, most importantly, the use of visuals again provides a universal understanding. It provides equity. For example, even if you don't understand, when you look at an infographic, you don't understand the language, the bar graphs, the charts, the trends, they tell you something. So it contributes to accessibility and equity in terms of communication and accessing the data information. Since I mentioned infographics, for instance, by the way, it is the abbreviation for information and graphic. So it helps you present, again, big information quickly and efficiently to the audience. So you can highlight or summarize those informations based on your purpose and guide the attention of the reader. For instance, it is an article I randomly chose from neurology. Normally it is very long article and a lot of terminology. If you are someone outside of the field, it might be difficult to understand that message. But in that journal, they are also providing the infographic of those articles. And I think maybe Dr. Bonk, correct me, in educational technology field as well, a lot of journals asking to submit their abstract or article in these kind of formats to increase accessibility. So for instance, based on this infographic, even if you are not familiar with terminology, you can follow what is happening, what is the problem, what are the findings, and why it is significant, even if you are not a professional in the medicine. Actually, I just took this chart from Microsoft and I really love it. Based on your purpose, you might try to show a relationship, a distribution, a comparison, or a composition. Lots of different, a variety of options are available. So their storytelling are different as well. but it doesn't have to be always in the numerical format. For instance, this example is one of my recent papers. We were looking at discourse analysis of faculty members, and this bubble chart, it was the production of a qualitative analysis, the frequency of the terms they used a lot, or similarly, this one again from one of my papers, it is thematic analysis categories actually. Using Canva, I just summarized them to make my findings more easily understandable. Or another one, this is again the thematic analysis categories, the space type I found in my paper. So I always support my findings regardless of qualitative or quantitative by the use of these web-based design tools. Dr. Bonk will remember this one. In my dissertation, I conducted a conceptual analysis in Turkish doctoral dissertations and looked at how some specific concepts have been studied since 2008. 1980s to current time. So I just again use Canva to prepare this timeline. Based on the distribution, I just located the key terms. So it helped me again present during my defense, and also even the publications. I am using these figures. It is helping a lot. Similarly,
those figures might be the basis for publications, each one of them, you know. So that will be real helpful for Merve.
Similarly, I think Zisha is going to introduce you Miro after me. I prepared this one in Miro. This graphic actually is the demographics. So from interviews, I just extracted who are they, what is their research area based on these I claim visualization. So I had 10 participants, so it helped me a lot. Who is studying what is their interest in technology. So they helped me a lot in my dissertation and publication in a nutshell. So today let's start with Canva. The reason why I choose Canva is it's a very easy web-based tool. It works based on drag and drop algorithm. You are just dragging some elements, text, shapes, pictures, and also customizable. You can customize the font colors, font types, and also it allows you upload and use free images in their library. And it enables you to collaborate with other designers. You can, let's go back to the browser, and this is the homepage, canva.com. When you finish your login sign up process, you are going to see this screen first. It allows you a lot of options, including presentation, social media, instructional video, even print products for t-shirts, mugs, marketing materials, office like Word documents, Word covers you can design. And under the more, I see infographics, photo collage, book cover, a lot of options. Let's focus on the infographic today, since we already talked about infographics. So when you click one of those menu categories, at the beginning, you are going to see on the left-hand side tons of free templates. The only thing, some of them are not free, but in the freemium version, you can find sufficient materials without paying anything. Let's click on this one. I added that one. Another one, in the free version, it doesn't allow you resize, but with standard subscription, you can choose its width and height dimensions. So I'm going to add another page, and second one. Let's make it a little bit closer. When you click on one of these icons, the editing menu will pop up on the left-hand side. So based on your need, you can change your icon. You can increase their number, their percentages, fill ones. You can decide the line spacing between each of them. Similarly, in this graph, you can change the percentage or line weight, increase, decrease. You can show or hide the labels. Similarly, I mean, you don't have a professional design skills, graphic design skills. Their colors palette also comes with fully professional. So the only thing is just change the items, like let's say education, housing. So you can change those percentages and it is just updated automatically. And also you can define the font type on the top editing menu. You can change a lot of things here. So after, let's say you finish your presentation, your design, and then on the top of the menu here, there is a share button. First, if you want to share it, collaborate with someone, it might be a friend or a group of other designers, you can just add their email address and send them an invitation. But if you are okay with designing individually, the only thing you need to do is click on download. It will give you some options including PDF, JPEG, PNG. So PDF print is okay, and just you are going to click download and it will be downloaded in a second. I think if you have any questions before I move to the Think link, I would love to answer it. So yeah, you can just use it as it is. You can customize. So it's easy, quick, and beautiful. So, and I didn't show, sorry, before I move on the left-hand side, there are other menu elements, including template elements. They are shapes, stickers, photos, audio, and also you can upload your own icons and text elements. Their styles are different, and under the more option, you can integrate some apps, GIFs, or even a social media to your design, especially if you are preparing a video. They might be very useful and helpful. So let's.
So does anyone have questions for her on this before she moves on to the next one?
I have a question.
Sure.
My question is, can we use
is there any limitation that we can use
the package?
and is there any way that
In something that we have the access to the premium?
Unfortunately, IU doesn't provide license for this tool, but based on my experience, I think I have been using this tool almost 6 or 7 years. The free features are enough for me to do a lot of things without paying it. Already, if there is a paid option element, let's say a picture, it doesn't allow you download until you remove the element or purchase it. But so far, I haven't purchased anything and use it a lot. So it will be okay without paying anything. Thanks for asking.
This was developed in Australia, I believe. It's a young woman entrepreneur, and she's done quite well with this. Actually. So what's the next tool we've got?
The next one is ThingLink.
ThingLink. Okay. ThingLink sounds like a great name. ThingLink.
So besides visualization, interaction is important for even online courses or for the social media. So ThingLink basically, as you mentioned, hypothesis, it is annotating text, and here you are putting annotation to picture. Let me move to the home page of ThingLink first. You just need to sign up using your email address, and then you are going to activate it, and the first page you are going to see is this one, your library and other options here. But before I start that one, what we can do using Tingling, for instance, let's say you are an art instructor and you are teaching this Renaissance painting, which is the School of Athens. Just providing some interactive links, you can introduce who is in this picture, Plato and Aristo, some information you can, oops, sorry. I just use my mouse. Okay. By adding some web pages or links, extra videos, you can introduce all these things or just add external web pages here. So you can even ask questions. Who is your favorite philosopher in the School of Athens? So, I mean...
Merve Bazdagan.
Thank you. So, I mean, it is one of the options. Basically, normally, in my online courses, I was using this kind of interactions in my homepage in the canvas, just to provide, I was giving a picture and where is syllabus, where are the readings, what are the announcements, so students can easily click on those buttons and go to the related page, especially if you are a K-12 teacher. It might be a very good data source, data management picture or interaction for young kids to support their self-regulated learning skills. They can find the resources easily, or even you can use it for some virtual filters, like to gamify the classroom. Again, the logic is same. These are hyperlinked. When I click, I'm going to go outside, so I'm not clicking on any of them. So students can play games. And if you realize, the good thing is, I am in PowerPoint and I can use this interaction as well. It means you can embed it everywhere. So you don't have to know codes, just copy and paste the sharing code. I'm going to show you in a minute. And that's all. This one is an example of how to embed some links into a video. I'm not sure if the sound is very high. Let me see if it is going to work. Okay, I'm going to show the original production in Tingling. It's basically provides some links on the left-hand side, like as you see here, questions, external resources. Let's go back to the Tingling homepage. I will go to my browser. Yes, for instance, the School of Athens example, I just prepared it before this classroom. I'm going to click on edit. So what I did is, the interface again is very easy, like a Canva. You are just clicking on edit tag. It asks you some options. Do you want to edit text on media or a label or a content from a website? Or sometimes you can create tour, just connecting different pictures each other. When I just click on label, you can give a title, Merve, and provide a description. And if you want to combine it with the external URL, you can put it here. Even you can upload some images here as well. So the newly created one is here. You can just move it around the picture wherever you want to provide the interaction. So once you are done, and also in the settings, you can just change the color scheme, how it is going to look like when people click on these icons, etc. animations. In addition, you can upload your narration to a picture and embed into a PowerPoint presentation. So it provides an easy online course design experience. And when you are done, you are just going to click on done. So this second one, the penguins, in that example, since it is very high quality video, yeah.
Is that we don't have enough data.
Sound when you.
It's not always right.
No, I didn't.
You might want to stop sharing and try it again.
But sound is not very important here. The only thing is in some face locations, it is going to ask this kind of provide those pop-up interactions and providing external information and external websites. So I think I have a couple more. So I did the same again, like a picture for a video. You are just deciding the minutes, the seconds, and then creating a new tag and adding whatever you want to add. So it's like very similar to Play Posit. Recently, IU is using those interactive tools. I mean, if you find them complicated or just need to do something quickly, this can be a lifesaver. Let's say we did everything and we saved our work. At the end, what are we going to do is, again, on the top menu, we see a share button. It asks us what kind of formats you want to share it, embedded social media. And I use, for example, for this presentation, PowerPoint. I'm just copying PowerPoint and I will go back to my screen. And let's create a new one. Blank. And insert. On the Gettings, I have already activated my Ting link. So you are just going to add your link and paste it. I think now it may not be allow me because, or it will allow. Let's see, embed it. So yeah, it's here. So you can, it will work offline as well, even if you don't have internet connection. Is there anything I have to show you? Let me go back to my screen. Yeah, I think these are the basics. And in the 360 images, you can provide virtual tours. In their gallery, there are some different examples you can explore by yourself. I mean, for a museum virtual tour or world map, you can utilize this kind of interactions easily for your courses based on your purpose. I think I am good on time, actually.
Yeah, she's right on time though. So would you have any questions?
Yeah, I can
for
answer
Merve?
maybe a couple questions if you have any.
No one's posted anything in the Jamboard, but please just jump in here if you do have a question.
I have a question. Thank you for your presentation. You said that it's available
Oh, we
offline.
can't hear you, Katie.
Oh.
I can hear you, but only Christian can hear you. Why is that? Well, okay, hang on, because I have muted. Try it again. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. You said it's available offline, so I'm interested in, which was actually my question until you said that, so thank you for answering. I'm interested in where does it save it, and what the limitation is space-wise. I mean, you had that video, they were short clips, which is great, but I'm wondering, you had all of the different links to the points on the painting, and have you reached sort of the outer edges of limits of the space if you are not web-based?
Thank you, Katie, for asking this question. Actually, I forgot mentioning all features I show is for the free version. But let's say for a video, you want to see the interaction patterns, how many students clicked on which link. So this kind of statistics are available for paid version. So this is one of the limitation. And I think for the video, another limitation is it may not, maybe it has been changed. It doesn't allow more than 15 minutes video. So it is another limitation of the free version. In terms of images, I haven't met any restrictions so far. You can add how much you want to add the interaction buttons, small icons. But statistics are only not available for the free version. Thank you.
Elliot, Do you have a question for Merve since you've jumped in here? He's an alum of our program. Elliot,
Hi, Elliot.
I think you know Merve. Looks like
Yes.
Elliot stepped away. Elaine, you have a question. She's the co-author of the Adding Tech Variety book. She's with us from New Zealand, all the way from Hamilton. Elaine.
Very interesting. I'm enjoying your presentation, Merve, because I haven't used ThinkLink before, so that's really useful to know.
Thank you, Elaine.
Anyone else? Edgar? From the International Development Bank, Edgar Gonzalez.
Thank you so much for the presentation. It's a very interesting tool. I have a question in terms of the size of the files when a file is embedded, like a video is embedded in an image, and then you want to share the file or send it to someone else or part of the PowerPoint presentation. How is it the size a limiting factor to share the presentation, or has to be web-based to avoid these problems?
Sure. Let me check the size of my presentation with embedded ThinkLink. It is 8 gigabytes. So, yeah.
8 gigabytes.
Yeah, it makes
Okay.
it bigger, I think. Generally, if you want to share using a cloud saver, it might be easy, but you can attach as a file as well. I think I sent it to Dr. Bonk. Did you have any problems, Dr. Bonk, with opening it up? Because yeah, you are right. When the size is increased, it provides a little bit difficulties. Actually, today I had as well. The links are just thinking a little bit before I open it. So yeah.
So Tuli had his hand up.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was writing it in the question. So my question is, so other than PowerPoint, is there any other softwares that we can apply ThinkLink other than PowerPoint? And also, like, without a software, we can, like, what will happen if we just download the ThinkLink?
Nick, Merve, you might want to repeat the question, and then Tuli might have to mute your mic then. And Merve, go ahead.
Tuli, so your question was how to the embedding process, right? After preparing your design in ThinkLink, how to proceed with embedding it to a web page or PowerPoint presentation, right? Or just PowerPoint presentation?
yeah,
Yeah, you're gonna have to mute Tuli. Go ahead and answer the question. We're gonna take a break here. Just 30 seconds. We have to go to break.
Okay, so just for the PowerPoint presentation, just make sure, let me share my screen very quickly again. And make sure in the insert menu, activate get-ins. When you click on get-ins, it will provide you a lot of lists, and you need to first search for ThinkLink. And it is going to be added to your PowerPoint presentation. And then when you need to add a new ThinkLink, you are just going to go on My Add-ins, select the ThinkLink, and just bring the link that I brought from the linked ThinkLink here and paste it. That's all, just embed media. Does it answer your question?
yeah, the PowerPoint, whereas
Okay.
So let's give Merve a round of applause as well.
Thank you.
And if you have more questions, we can answer more when we come back from break. It's gonna be a 5, 6, 7, maybe a 7.5 minute break. And we'll be back at about 8:45 Eastern time. And then she will present. She's not here. She's back in her home because her laptop's not working. So she's gonna present from her desktop, and then Belle will present, and then Christian will just show us what he's got, and he's probably gonna have to present next week. So we'll see how it goes. But come on back in 7.5 minutes. Thanks for coming for the first half. I am going to pause the recording. So this is resuming recording for part 2, and she's going to present for us 2 different tools, including Miro and Notion. Now, Merve knows a lot about Miro because she's presented on it many times, and Belle, who presents next, knows a lot about Notion because she saves all her activities in Notion. So either one of them can comment on these 2 tools once she's done presenting. So Jishi, you want to take it over here at this point?
Yes. Hi everyone. I'm gonna start with Notion today, and luckily I have a project that use both Miro and Notion, so I can show you guys around how it works. Let me show you this. So firstly, Notion is a great project management tool that's very easy whenever you are working, whether if you are working on yourself or work with a team. Basically, it's all in one space. Here is where you can see your groups, and I'm in this group where have a lot of templates to use, and basically it's all in one space, and you can organize everything that matters. It gives you a very clean surface, and you can visualize your thinking and write and plan. So I like to start show you like different possibilities to use Notion. As you can see, it's a mock-up of the lesson plan. You can use it as a like task control tools. You can add many different tabs and columns to specify the task and even assign to people. Compared to more traditional, of course, you can use Google Drive and Google Doc, Google Slides, or whatever to complete the same task. However, it's much user-friendly, and especially like if you have multiple columns and you just keep adding, it doesn't influence the overall looking, and it's really easy to navigate around. So that's why I really like to use Notion. And of course, you can use it for, like here, if I can open each tab, it have actually very detailed descriptions of the learning objectives and class design. So if you are collaborating on designing a course plan, it's really helpful. And so I also say like for like our class 511, people have to write blogs. Miro can do that as well. You can use it as a blog website to ask your student post things, and they can insert pictures and move it around really easily. As you can see, it's much more intuitive than Google Doc or other similar collaborative tools. And I can also show you different ways to use Notion. As you can see, it's more like a roadmap, and each one you can click into the small blocks to change things. And if you have teammates, you can easily add comments to it. And also you can make it as a resume page to indicate your learning through IST, such as that, I think will be useful. And it even can be a website for your class or whatever you need to use. As you can see, it's basically very easy navigation, and you can add attachment to it quite easily. So now I'm going to show you one project I was working on during my master's program, and that's how we organize Notion, because it allows to integrate many other different tools. We can just insert links. And something I really like is you can change the icons, which make it really easy to identify which item, and the visualization is really effective. So I can show you, for example, if we have the project timeline, we can put them into task. As I showed you earlier, we can write down the task names and the date, and we can even insert different like icons to distinguish them. Furthermore, if you prefer to use the project as a calendar view, you can add any events. And so it's easier for your team when you are having a schedule to do things like I have a meeting on this day, so I can add the new events just like a Google Calendar. So as you can see, another thingy I really like is this one. Is how you can organize things with information hierarchy. It's quite easy when you have multiple different sections for your interview, so you can organize them with a tab instead of having everything on the same page or on different document. I think some other things I can show is say, as I mentioned earlier, we can include almost every information, and it's really easy to hide the information as well. So you can have everything clearly organized on the same page. Yeah, and you can embed many different tools. I don't remember where I put it, but or maybe I can show. It's been a long time I didn't open this folder, so I don't remember where I organize things. But as you can see, you can embed image and other tools easily. So this one is using Miro. I will show you the same project shortly. Before I move to Miro, any questions or comments on Notion?
Cece, where does it all live? Like if you wanted to, if so, one of the things that I think about a lot is I've produced this Miro page, and it's really useful for my collaboration with my colleagues. And then maybe 5 years down the road, I want to take that information and I want to take it with me because Nero is looking at closing down, or maybe they've been bought by somebody else and I don't trust that other person. How is there a way to kind of do a kind of a data dump or take your data with you type of thing?
I think it's possible to export things. Like here, you say it's possible to be PDF, HTML, and other. It even can do CSV. So, and it can allow you to select the content. I am not sure about that part. Belle, do you know that?
Yeah, it's not possible like to migrate all the content to like OneDrive or Google Drive. So you need to do one by one, like export it like to PDF or other version. I don't know, like if Yuting know anything about this part. I think she used Notion a lot. Do you know that there is a way to migrate all the content to another drive? No, okay.
No, yeah, I thought you use this function, sorry.
So any other questions?
So you
Dr. Bang, we cannot hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
So are you done with Notion and ready to go to Miro?
Yes.
Okay, before you do, Belle's an expert at Notion. I want to make sure that there isn't a couple of features that she wants to point out for us. So Belle?
Actually, I think she already covered all of the function. But I wanted to mention my favorite function of Notion is the toggle list that she just show you. It can expand if you need to see more information, and you could collapse and hide the information if you don't. It really helped me to avoid being overwhelmed by the notes, the content, and to remember the information to engage with the content. I will compare Trello with Notion a little bit later. So.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. Merve, was there anything that you wanted? Okay, so I want to make sure. So anyone else has a question on Notion before she goes on to Miro? This is Jamboard number 3, by the way, for Shishi.
Okay, maybe if you have more questions, you can keep posting in the Jamboard, and meanwhile, I will show you Miro. So as many people know, Miro is a collaborative whiteboard platform, and you can use it for brainstorming, mapping, diagramming, process visualizations, and so on. But even though most people know Miro is a collaborative whiteboard, it actually originally designed for design. So that's why it has so many good templates for user experience design or storyboard, product map road, and so on. So I want to invite you into a Miro board. If you have Miro, you can directly sign in. If you don't, you can just use your email if you want. So basically, I'll show you. There are many different ways to use it. You can do very simple activities with your class. For example, I can, for icebreaker activity, you can just ask a student create a board and you write the instructions, and then student can use whatever they like to use to create a sticky, or you can actually easily change it to any other forms of visualizations, and you can drag it and you can make different sizes and change the colors such as that. So as more complicated as it can be more complicated, this is activities if you want to try after you log into the Miro. As you can see, the teachers can provide such instructions on the side, and then you can just follow to move the things around. Right here, I think now I'm getting excited to talk to you. And it's very easy to navigate around. And as you can see, it can create different diagram embedded with all kinds of pictures. This is more embedded. And if you want to avoid people moving it around, you can lock them. And now I can unlock to be able to drag things around. That's some activities I think you can try on yourself and try to be more, I think can engage students in a more visual ways and to display their thinking in a visual way. So I can show you how we organize things in a research side. So first of all, it's an infinity space for you. You can create as many as board as you want. So firstly, our team, we create one frame just to put on the descriptions, what we are trying to do with the project and the requirement on the other board. And then we use one giant board to do a semantic analysis. I really like to do it for research purpose because it's similar to a traditional coding process. You use sticky notes, but it allows you to be more efficient because people can work collaboratively in the space. And if you are doing the traditional coding, you might need a super big space or a very long wall to keep the stickies away from each other and moving them around. And then you have to move around the room to find the sticky. But use Miro, it's really easy and efficient. Your team can create the sticky in a very easy way. That is, I think my setting does not allow me to. I think I reached the limit of the plan, but there is an easy way you can create sticky notes. For example, here, use the bulk mode. So when you are doing research, you can just keep typing on whatever and just continue to the next code. And then eventually you hit down. They will all show on the board. So you don't need to create individual stickers one by one. That's how we create such affinity wall. We call that in user experience design. So people can work collaboratively and moving around the sticky to make a semantic analysis. Besides that, Miro can also let you, as you say, it's very easy to embed image and use the diagramming and to do different things. And it even allows you to do like a mock-up of the website. So if you need to do a mock-up for a ed tech app, you can use Miro as well. I think I have one example somewhere, but I don't remember. Oh, see here. It's a little bit slow, but say you are able to use Miro in this way to create to design something and create a wireframe to show other people how the interface looks like. I think that's all I have for Miro. I think Merve probably have a lot of good idea of how to use it.
So before we go on to Merve, I just want to point out that this is the one tool that you will see on television. Lately, it's getting many advertisements, many advertisements. So it's advertised as a corporate collaboration tool, corporate workplace collaboration tool. If this was just a higher education tool, it wouldn't get any TV at all. But corporates are starting to use it. So anyway, questions before Merve jumps in here. Does anyone want to ask a question first before Merve jumps in? How is the Jamboard looking now? Have any questions in the Jamboard? No. There's Nelson. Are you with us here? Here he is. Nelson's with us. What do you think so far, Nelson?
Yeah, I had a question for Christian, because I think he oh, never mind. I got the wrong impression. He was talking about Notion. I thought he was talking about Miro, that it was being bought out by a different company. But I guess the question still applies for Notion as well. Like if you're a new user and you're interested in these technologies, what does it mean for the company to be bought out? Like, how does that like really affect the like us as users? Should we use the service with caution, or kind of can we still use it as if everything's okay, I guess?
Well, I'll let Christian answer it first. I have an answer for that, but I'll let him go first.
I mean, I think that it's really important for us to be conscious as we're creating things, conscious about where we're creating them, and if we're interested in having that product last long term, we should think about archiving it some way. So, like I think about this in my Canvas discussion board forums. At one point, I was really anxious about losing those discussions because it's like my mind. I'm putting my mind out into these discussion boards, and how do I take that with me? Well, it's not easy, and you have to essentially make a PDF of all of it, and I mean that's extremely inefficient, but it's an archival process. So archival processes for these types of multimodal collaborative tools are not easy. I will tell you that. What were you?
You've heard it. You've heard it right here in R678 week 11. You heard it. He says he's worried about losing it, and it's his mind. So he's worried about losing his mind. You know, I don't have to worry about that because I don't have a mind right now. But I will say that these technologies come and go, and the most precautions you can take, like have duplicates, to have a backup copy, whatever, you know, just writing down your password somewhere so you remember it later on. All these things come in handy. Probably of the successful companies, most of them are going to be bought out. Of those that are not successful, they'll die out within 5 years. The lifespan of most of these tools is about 5-6 years. If it lasts 10 years, then it's a viable entity, you know, and that's amazing. Yeah, and they're probably going to be bought out at that point. So, you know, why do we use them if we know that they're going to either, you know, fall by the wayside or be bought out? Well, we use them because they provide efficiencies, they provide ease of access, they provide templates for your brain to showcase our knowledge. We're looking for tools like taxonomies, timelines, concept maps, mind maps, and so forth that will help us explicate our knowledge and share our knowledge. Whether it's just for 15 weeks in this class, that's good enough, you know, overall. But what Christian wants is something he can take from this class, download it, and share it a year later or 2 years later, or showcase his knowledge 5 years later, 10 years later. You know, in cleaning out my office a few months ago, I found notes of my own self from graduate school and all my professors' books or book of readings they gave out to us and their syllabi. You know, we want to save those things so they bring back our memory searches. They bring back our struggles for learning new things, and they're important. They are important. So to what degree you can make sure that these knowledge snippets of yourself in R678 or in 511 or some other class can be taken with you, whether it's in a blog post or whether it's in a mind map or whether it's in a brochure or an infographic with Ray showed us something you want to bring, you want to have that tangible thing to reflect upon, to share, and to look at your, as Yoon said, your portfolio of yourself as a learner. So all this is important. If I had to pick which of these tools are going to be with us 10 years from now, I'm hard pressed to pick the tool from all the ones that we've seen so far. I don't know if there is the tool, but Miro seems to be getting the most attention, as I said.
Yeah.
So we probably need to get Merve's take on Miro because she is an expert at it. She showcased it in the fall class on Saturday. She showed it to us. And so Merve, would you like to take a stab at it?
Sure. Zisha, thanks so much for showing those examples, the virtual sneak peek, collaboration thermometer. They are very creative, engaging examples. So what I can say is this is exactly fits with this sentence. The limit is your imagination. So it provides a lot of flexibility you can use for tinkering, brainstorming. So yeah, but I agree with the concerns about sustainability. So for some reason, if I have very good design, I have always take the screenshot and save on my local folder, even if it is not going to be editable, but I just save it because their policies are changing sometimes very quickly, updating something. What else? I think, yeah, Zishi covered everything. Thanks, Zishi. Maybe I can add one more thing about virtual collaboration. So in the paid version, you can invite your friends and make video chat at the same time while editing, moving elements somewhere. So yeah, it combines. I don't know, are you familiar with Prezi? I think it's still active, the presentation tool works on Zoom in, Zoom out. Prezi, Zoom, Canva, everything like a combination meshed up in Miro. So I agree with you, Dr. Bonk. It is going to be a popular and long-living tool, I guess, in the upcoming years. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie, for your comments.
This reminds me of early days of PC software. We had spreadsheets, databases, and word processors. And all of a sudden, Microsoft built a tool called Symphony that had everything in it. It didn't last too long, by the way, but people thought it was the greatest thing, you know. And Miro kind of is that. And maybe, Christian, you could point us to a mind mapping tool. You know, Miro is a mind mapping tool in some ways. Is there one that you've used that's better than Miro, or that comparable to Miro, at least had some, would get some traction within the corporate space as a tool for collaboration? Do you know of one?
So a lot of the tools, I end up using MindMeister an awful lot because of it has a lot of the functions that I like and in an easy format for me to use. But nothing's quite like Miro. I mean, Miro is all inclusive. And it's a virtual workspace. I mean, you have all of your documents there, and for people that like to have all of their stuff spread out on a desktop so you can find it, that's the best tool. I mean, particularly for designers, UX UI designers, this is a wonderful tool to see everything laid out, be able to zoom in, zoom out. There isn't many mind mapping tools that do that. One thing I will say is that Miro can be quite distracting if you are a distractible person. And there's a lot of input, and so it might be its limitation.
Are you talking about me being a distractible person, you, Merve, or Shishi?
Me. I remember Merve's presentation of it. I'm just like, oh my gosh, all the cursors, I see all the cursors moving around. I'm going crazy right now. And it was just overwhelming to me. But as you begin to use the tool, you begin to understand what that is and how it's happening and why it's happening, and you kind of tune it out a little bit. But for like, I would never be able to just quickly get somebody on board with using Miro if they weren't already familiar with tools that were collaborative online tools. But there are some other like mind mapping tools that are a little bit easier to have somebody dip their toe in that's not maybe so tech savvy.
So I don't know whose iPad, so you can put in the chat so I know what your name is. I won't call on you, I promise. We do have another visual person named Omida here. Omida, what do you think of
the iPad is me.
Miro tool?
Miro seems to be very nice tool. Yeah, I like it.
Another tool. It's not free, but they have free stuff in it.
Yeah. I wonder if it's possible to embed it to Google Drive, like Lucid Chair, for example. We can embed it to Google and use it in Google for, I think it's possible to embed it with IU account. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think Miro recently enabled you to do with Google. I think mostly Google Calendar. I'm not quite sure because when I tried it, it didn't work. So yeah, but one more thing I want to add on what Christian said. I think that they are all called all-in-one tool, but they are actually not. Like one tool can be good at one thing, but not everything. So that's why when I work with other people, it's not usually not only one tool we use different tools. And maybe there is one for the major tool we use, like we use Notion to build all the project task and task control things, but we embed like Miro for the part of the interview analysis, and then we use Figma for building the UI, which is much easier than Miro. And so I think that's important to be able to adapt to different tools and also be wise, be very, very wise to choose the one that's suitable for certain task.
So we have a comment from Nelson in there about should we be gearing these tools up for the corporate space where they get funding? There actually are cases of the opposite happening. If you ever used Inspiration or Webspiration or Inspiration was created for the corporate space and got used in K-12 and higher ed so much they had to change their model. So it can happen where the higher ed and K-12 people utilize a tool and shift the focus. So you know that has happened in history. It's not the norm, but it has happened. Anyone else have a question for Shishi? Or about Miro, or about why she's not in the room with all of us today? Gotta give her a hard time. We have 1, 2, 3, 6 people, no, 5 people, 6 people. Bell's in the next. Okay, we had 6 people here for a change. Maybe we'll talk Elliot into coming here and visiting us sometime on a Monday, maybe next Monday night. So we have Bell left and Christian. So Bell, yeah, nice. And we should give, so she should get a round of applause too, of course. Excellent jobs. This is just this snowballing here. I hope you're getting some ideas as you hear each one. Again, this is not a technology tool training class, but I wanted to have a week where we're doing that because, you know, oftentimes people sign up and they expect or the intent to be training in technology tools every week. But in a PhD or an EDD program, at a 600 level course, they want us to emphasize theory and what the research says. So I'm trying to add a weekend where we're getting to a lot of different tools, and it's great to have support from Bell and from Chishi and from Merve and from Justin and from Yoon. So it's really wonderful to have all their helps. So thank you to them. Bell, what are you going to show us?
Wait a second.
Good.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so today I'm going to introduce you to Trello and Kumo Space. I already present Trello on R567, so I wanted to try another approach, not just showing the example, but showing the feature so that you could have a general idea of how you could use those features to work with your own project. So let's talk about Trello first. Unlike Notion that provides all components like Trello has a Kanban board, Notion has one as well. Notion can also do notes, database, wikis, calendars, and also reminders. But Trello it's only based on Kanban style, and it's focused on doing only one task at a time. So Christine, it's really good for you if you are easy to get distracted. Okay, so Notion and Trello are two great services that help you to get things done. Trello is awesome at project management, while Notion is a all-around tool that allow you to accomplish a variety of things, not just project management. So I use it for like note-taking a lot. So if you are looking for solely for a project management hands-on tool, Trello is probably the better bet. The strength of Trello is simplicity. So you don't need to overcome the learning curve that you need to spend lots of time on learning how to use Miro and Notion. So this is easy, hands-on, that you could log in and to start work on this tool. So let's take a look at the feature of the Trello. One of the simplest way to add pop, structure, and clarity to your board is by adding label to cards. Let me show you so here is my labels. So you could use label to prioritize things. You could use label to distinguish different activities that to highlight or make it more standing out. You could also use it to categorize a repository of card by subject, just like your Trello board. Trello label are customized as well. And it also can do checklist, power ups, automation, and views. For checklist, every Trello cards comes with a checklist, so you can break projects down into smaller tasks or to create even more detailed to-do list. If you upgrade the Trello, you could also add team members, labels, checklist, dates, like under this small checklist, but I only have the basic version, so but I think it's enough for small project to do the arrangement. Another feature of Trello is power-ups. Power-ups bring additional functions, and it can do integrations to your Trello boards. It can connect with other apps that you rely on. For example, the Google Drive. I assume that everyone can use Google Drive, so I will take it as an example. It could integrate all the information and it make it like visible. So if you add Google Drive for Trello, it will appear on the top. See the Google Drive button. It would just right beside the power-ups. And this built-in file search lets you attach folders and files from Google Drive to Trello cards. And it also lets you to turn your Google board into a Google slide presentation. Just click it and it will link to your Google Drive without like jump to another website. So it's really easy for your documentation. And another feature is so once you have your board's workflows and power-ups and key features set up, you could automate all that work. For example, I settled up a rule that when I drag a card from doing, let me show you on my own Trello board. So let me add a card here. So task. If I add this card, it will automatically add in process label. And if I drag this from doing to complete tasks, the in process will disappear and task will automatically like marked completed. So that's how the automation work for Trello. So you don't need to know how to do coding to realize this function. You could just click create rule. For example, here, you can set up a rule that when a Trello card is moved to the down list or complete list, the due date is automatically checked. All items in the checklist are crossed out, and all the member are removed from card. So it can, if you're run a business or if you're like doing a larger project, that it will help you to like make things easier and more automatically. And the last feature of the main feature, the last main feature of the Trello is it has a lot of like multiple views, but it's only available with the Premier or Enterprise. So I never use those views, but I think the basic function, the basic version is enough for us to use it. Like if you're running a business, you probably can upgrade it. So that's all about Trello. I'm going to move to Kumo Space. If you don't have any question on Trello.
Well, let's wait a second, Belle, before you move on, because we do have a couple minutes. You're ahead of schedule. I want to make sure Merve adds some notes because she knows Trello pretty well. And I want her to discuss anything you might have missed or anything she thinks is important to point out. And also what, if you know what the premium version costs, give us a sense of what that does cost, Merve.
I don't know the current prices for these versions, but beside class group management or collaborative work, it is great to use it for lesson planning as well. I was last year when I introduced it, I showed a homeschooling lesson plan. It was something interesting for me, again, to help regulation, self-regulation of students, kids, just to drag and drop some daily activities and to track their own learning. So overall, you did a great job, Belle. Thank you for the examples.
Okay, does anyone have a question for Belle?
I just recently was using Trello or trying to use it for some ideas on a task list for a different or for a specific board I work with. And the interesting thing I noticed was that you can't make comments on the cards, or at least I couldn't figure out how to make comments on the cards. So I wanted more depth, but you know, as you said at the beginning, Trello's strength is its simplicity, and so it doesn't have all of that depth.
I think you could comment on the board. Let me try to share my screen. So if you wanted to make comments on, see here, you could leave comments just below the activities. And you can also add another person you wanted to communicate with. I can quickly, yeah, here it is. So I think I could quickly show you some, like, show you guys some examples that I shared last R678.
546.
What? Sorry, I
546.
I can't hear you, Dr. Bonk.
546.
546. I'm sorry. Okay. Let me show you. So this is when I work at a startup company, how we manage and work with other teams. We wanted to make it like more fun and not like that bored to work every day. So we do a lot of virtualized design, add pictures of each members, and we will put our work there. so that everyone can on the same page. This is one for like when you do a project with several teams. And if you only have a small project, Yuting is also work with me on this project that you could document everything and have label there to do several round check. So it's really easy to collaborate with others on a project. I also use it to do research, just do daily plan and also like document some files there. Yeah, that's everything for Trello. So if you guys don't have any question, I will move to Kumo Space.
Are we okay? Can she move on to the last one? Thumbs up. Okay.
Okay. So Kumo Space. So actually I learned Kumo Space from Umida. I was a participant in her project to testing a lesson plan. So I really like this video conferencing tool because it's a way to saying goodbye to the bored grade of video conferencing. Bye Zoom. And try to provide more immersive and fun environment for video chat. As you can see here, there are a lot of pre-made template. You can use it for work, for social, for events, for game. It looks like a game. So you could make your space your own by starting from scratch or customizing one of their pre-made templates. You could also add your own logos, furnitures, music, YouTube videos, and much more. We could, I will show you. I can paste a link. Umida, if you don't mind, no, I can paste a link. Give me 1 second. Let me. So here is a link that I create for today's presentation. But I'm kind of worried about if we use Zoom and Kumo Space together, it will like interrupt each other. So if you are logging and play around, please mute yourself so that it will not like.
Yeah, if you don't turn on the microphone and camera, it will not interrupt.
Okay, so let's back to the slides. Here are the main features of Kumo Space. Like Zoom, Kumo Space has a function of video conferencing and screen share, but it has more fun functions such as movement that if you join the space, I will show you guys this later. So if you move, you click with your mouse, or your arrow keys, or simply like use your mouse to scroll down, it can do movement. And now like the function of break room session, it realized the separate private conversations by spatial audio feature that allow you only to hear and talk to those nearby. So around your avatar, there is a circle that represent your spatial audio range. You can hear anyone inside this circle and they can hear you as well. So anyone outside the circle is out of your earshot. This is how you can have separate private conversation in Kumo Space, and you can also hide the audio range indicator and adjust the size of your audio range by click setting. You can also like make it entire room so everyone can hear you. Let me.
Bill,
Mm-hmm.
there's a tool called Shindig that lets you have multiple conferences and discussions within a main video conference, just so you all know, Shindig. And weekly on Thursday afternoons, my friend Brian Alexander has a future or technology of the future kind of meetings with guests from around the world talking about what's new in technology. So every Thursday afternoon, it's in Shindig. So you can take your image and connect it to another image and have a chat with that other person and meet him or her and talk while the main event is going on and not interrupting them. That sounds like what you're describing here, maybe in Como Space.
Yeah, it
Is-
sounds similar.
Is Como Space free?
Yeah, it's free for up to 3 people, and beyond the 3 people, you need to like buy the
30
printer.
people, 30, not
30,
3.
yeah, 30.
30 people, thanks to you.
Oh.
30 people. Is it created in Uzbekistan or is it created in the United States?
The United States, I think.
Okay.
It's really interactive, actually. We can sit in up to 6 rooms at the same time and then move around and chat with it's like a breakout room in one room.
So do you say it's a K-12 tool? A higher
No,
ed?
no,
or
it's
corporate?
it was used with IU conference, IU online conference, actually.
Okay.
I can quickly share the screen of this. Let me reshare it so that I can share the audio so you can hear the voice there. Oh, not this one. Okay, so if you go to this room,
Furniture or decor, choose your music
can
using
you hear
Spotify,
the
and
voice
add
of the
images and
video?
logos. You can make your space stand out with interactive games and
But
YouTube
if you
videos.
go out,
With our
step out,
custom spaces app,
step in another room, you will listen to the piano here. And you can enjoy the tea here. It's very interactive. So if you go to another room, you could play
to host
chess.
your own Kumo space,
I don't know how to pronounce it. You could play a game with others if you don't want to pay attention to your lesson. And you could also listen to the Spotify here. Drink coffee at another room. Drink coffee. Yeah, drink coffee. If you want to go back to R678, you can go back. So, and you could add furnitures, rugs, plants. You can decorate your learning space. So it's really fun and immersive and interactive. I really like this, but I think if you wanted to implement in your classroom, it's a little bit challenge because you need to, organize it well and do not let them go around, not pay attention to your lesson, but with those fun stuff. Okay, that's all about the Kumo space.
Okay, questions on Como Space? Omida, do you have a comment, an additional comment about it?
I think it's very good for language learning. For example, you can ask different questions and at the same time move and listen to your students chat. And Bell is an advisor or lead tutoring at the Chinese program, flagship program. So I recommended it to her. And we were testing hybrid learning and how to provide equal opportunities for on-site and online students at the same time. And that was kind of possible solution option for us. Yeah, that's what I can add only.
How about Dr. Gonzalez? Would you like to comment on Como Space or any of the other tools you heard today?
I think it's a great tools for different purposes. for project management, Trello definitely has a lot of advantages. But for collaborative environments, the Miro tool will be my favorite. Now the ThinkLink is I think is a great to develop online courses and embed comments and links and videos and questions. So it's I think this combination of tools enrich a lot the options in every sense. Thank you to all of you, please.
Thanks.
We can't hear you.
Oh, I said Edgar was a real, quote unquote, real doctor before getting to the field of educational technology, where we're fake doctors. I think Edgar's been a doctor a couple of times in his life. So,
yeah, I'm a surgeon also, so I had a lot of operations and a lot of patients before moving into education. So it's a great combination.
And he's got a lot of patience in learning a new technology. And waiting for me to respond to him when he has a question. He has patience. Have patience. Anyone has a Kim? We haven't heard from you at all tonight, and you're usually the one who's commenting on everything. So, do you have any comments there?
So I'm playing chess inside of the Kumo space. So I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I fell down the stairs last week, so I'm just taking some time to rest my back. It was really bad actually. But I just have never seen a space like this. And I guess my only question is, can you decrease or increase the zone in which you can hear others? Because I noticed when you went from the YouTube room, when I've been going from the YouTube room to the other room, it kind of still catches the YouTube room. So can you like change that by any chance?
Yep, let me show you how to do that. So if you go to settings, it has a, oh, sorry, it's not here. Let me see where it is. Oh, so in Zoom, here at audio range, you could do like normal, quiet. If you do quiet, the circle will be smaller. And if you do entire room, let's try to do quiet to save changes. See, the circle become smaller. And if you do entire room, I assume that the circle will disappear. Here, zoom, entire room. Yeah, the circle will disappear so that everyone can hear you.
Okay. And then are you able to make the rooms or bigger than what is there?
I think you're asking
like that the size of like it's like 4 by 5 squares. Can you make that like a 5 by 5 or 6 by 5?
Yeah, if you click edit, you could delete all the elements here and you can make like this one larger, I think, or to add more like rocks here so that you can make the room like become whatever you're imagining. So this is a pre-made template. So if you can, let me go back to, you could add like more floors. So make the room becoming just one bigger room.
Thank you, Belle. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thanks, Belle.
And I'm going to have Christian throw up the mind mapping tool and talk about it for a little bit. Maybe we can start next time with it again. So Christian, do you have what you have ready to show us handy that you can put it up there?
I do. One moment. Okay, I think it's in that one. Yeah, it's in that one. So that's actually the Jamboard. And so why is that tool in my way? Okay. So here's my mind map, but it's really like visually crazy right now. So what I do to make it a little less crazy is I just minimize these. And so then very simple. So I think one of the easiest things to do is look really quick at the 3 dots that happen at each of the little bubbles, like each of the little tabs there. There's 3 dots. And so you click on that, and that's where you add comments. It's where you add notes, attach things, media. One note I will make for this mind map, since there's a lot of people using it, if you do decide to go into this mind map and add things, I do ask if there's already a picture or a video. If you add a link here, it will erase that. So go ahead, and if there's already a video like over here in uses, go ahead and just add the new link that you want to add into a comment. That'll just be kind of a quick note. And if you forget that, I have put this handy little graphic here for you to see and made it a quick little note about how to use it. So built into it, little ideas about how to use it. But so first off, just there's all sorts of different mind mapping tools and also brainstorming tools, because mind mapping is a form of brainstorming. It has been for me. It's been very helpful for me, actually. Oftentimes I get overwhelmed by discussion board forums. And so one of the ways that I kind of wrap my brain around them is by creating a mind map of it. And so what's actually happening in this discussion board? Oh, well, there's these 3 main topics, and then these 3 main topics have these reference points, and it's incredibly visual, and it's incredibly easy for me to then comprehend what's going on. So all of these have links to the different options, or the different tools, I should say. So let me minimize that again. And then uses, there's all sorts of different uses. You can take a look at these. I think the visual thinking is a really interesting one. She had the video that I put in there. She goes into depth about visual thinking and how, I mean, mind mapping is integral because it's all visual. So then also here we have the tech variety activity number 66, page 160 or 196. And it is where I got actually a lot of information, a lot of inspiration for doing mind mapping. That was the P540 class, I think, was the original P540 was my first semester of my master's. And you introduced me to tech variety. I think I got a signed copy that you sent me home with, and I was like, what am I gonna do with this book? And yeah, I was, yeah, I biked from the student union. Yeah. And so yeah, no, I have used and continue to reference that book constantly. But now you guys can all reference this book because it's linked right here. You just click on the link. Perfect.
So you go to the Poplet link.
Yeah.
Was that actual link to Poplet?
It does.
Okay. So
Yeah.
tell people what Poplet is.
So Poplet is another visual organizer. Some might call it mind mapping. Some might call it
Knowledge sharing.
knowledge sharing.
Collaboration, something like that.
Yeah. Even like knowledge clarification, maybe, because you're able to very easily, just like the mind mapping tool of MindMeister, you're able to easily put together simplified 1 or 2 word descriptors of what the concept is, and then you can link to it with videos, you can link to it with documents, you can link kind of like thing, just it's kind of like the reverse, because you've got more text and the connection of the text as opposed to the visual of an image. that I don't know. I feel like there's more depth in the image that you get with ThingLink.
Right.
That
Right. There's more interactive. You can see it, you can feel it more.
Yeah.
Here it's more about hyperlinking.
Yeah. It's a distilled version of thought.
ThingLink is like living it. It's like being part of the video and all that. Whereas this Pablo is like a series of links to links to links, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there's another tool that you want to mention, features. We've seen Padlet and Jamboard.
So yeah, Padlet, Jamboard.
Different.
So in attributes, actually, I talk about that a little bit. Because MindMeister, Mindomo, those Poplet, those are very much the mind mapping type tools, very structured, connection-centric type of layouts, visual layouts. Whereas Jamboard and Padlet tend to be a little bit more brainstorming, also Webspiration brainstorming, and there's a lot more free association going on. There's structured and unstructured layouts of the knowledge as you build it out. And so it really, these two little videos are cute little videos to talk about different attributes of mind maps and brainstorming tools. But you know, at the end of the day, I found them. Yeah. At the end of the day, these tools end up having a lot of similarities. Most of them are extremely collaborative, so that a bunch of people can edit them, whether that's synchronously or asynchronously. I think there's benefit to both, having both available, because like right now, I plan to add a couple examples here, and you're welcome to also add some questions here if you want to as I'm talking about it. You can.
Meta has a Coglet. What's Coglet?
Coglet.
Oh, Meta, what's Coglet?
Excuse me, I can't hear you.
Oh, what's Coglet?
Oh, Coglet is also mind mapping tool, but it's collaborative and free, at least.
Yeah.
So, Chris, you want to explain MindDuel, MindMeister, and so forth, which are free? And are they freemiums?
There's freemiums of all of them, and then there's paid of all of them. And a lot of times it has to do with the number of mind maps that you have, the number of Padlets that you have. I'm limited currently on Padlets because we have a lot of Padlets built out for this class that I've built. And so I'm like, oh, dang, I got my 5 Padlet limit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have like multiple emails. Yeah, it's no problem. But yeah, so if you want, you can add that Coglet to the tools listing if you want, or I can do it. I can show you. So if you're in the same level, so mind mapping oftentimes is very level based. So like these are all links underneath tools, and so in that I just hit enter, and then there's a new level or a new thing to add here. And so maybe I'll put dot in there. And so there's that. I made that. There's the 3 dots, and that's where I paste my link. Boom. And so there it is, living there.
In the discussion for the week, maybe in the discussion for this week in Canvas, we can talk about, maybe Christian can post this in the alternative discussion. We can chat about how to use it. I know we have other things in the alternative discussion, but maybe you can post that in there. So
yeah.
I want to thank Christian for tonight. I know we didn't give him enough time, but he knew that because he was last. He knew I'd cut him off at some point. I want to thank everyone for staying this long. Does anyone have a final comment? But what is that there?
I have a final comment, Dr. Bonk.
So I am moderating both discussion forums this week, and
Right.
come on down, come and discuss and collaborate with me. It took me almost like 4 hours to put together your first discussion post. So don't be freaking out that it's so long. Okay, just pick a little spot and just read that, and then go down and just join on the discussion. It's all good. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to check it 3 times a day, and you don't have to be as really crazy as I am, but I'm so excited to get really going on this.
Thank you, Kim, for reminding me about that. And I must say, it's nice to have students in the room with me tonight, not be alone. We're not going to Mother Bear's after because it closes at 10 o'clock. So we'll find a different place for us to go to it now, probably the social cantina. Or whatever. So we've got 4 weeks left in here, believe it or not. And on the 15th week, I'll be at IUPUI on that Friday. So we have 3 weeks left to use this room. So I think I have the keys to 2 rooms in the School of Ed too, but I'll be thinking about what we're going to do next week, the week after. And so again, I want to thank you all. I'm going to take this and put it into the cloud. I will make a YouTube out of this, stop the recording.